The storm locked us in together, and I decided immediately that freezing to death was the better option. His name is Marcus Hale. The storm locked us in together, and I decided immediately that freezing to death was the better option. His name is Marcus Hale, my colleague, my competition, and the single most infuriating human being I have ever had the displeasure of being professionally obligated to tolerate. We had been sent to the same mountain retreat for a company strategy summit, arrived in separate cars, and somehow ended up sheltering in the same emergency cabin when the storm hit without warning and the roads disappeared under 3 feet of snow. The universe has a vicious sense of humor. The cabin was small, 1 fireplace, 1 couch, 2 blankets, and enough tension to outlast the blizzard. He got the fire going before I could figure out the flint, which I refused to acknowledge as helpful. "You're welcome," he said anyway, without looking up. I didn't say thank you. "No," he agreed, settling back on the floor beside the fire. "You never do." I wanted to argue with that. I sat on the couch instead, and wrapped a blanket around my shoulders, and stared at the fire like it had personally offended me. The storm howled. Hours passed. The silence between us shifted from hostile to something more complicated, the way silences do when there's nothing left to hide behind. He spoke first. "Why do you hate me so much?" I blinked. Of all the things I expected him to say, "I don't hate you." Flinch every time I walk into a room. That's called having standards. A quiet laugh, low and genuine, nothing like the sharp, boardroom version I was used to. It caught me completely off guard. Around midnight, the temperature dropped enough that the single fire couldn't hold it back. He moved to the couch without ceremony, leaving a careful distance between us, close enough to share warmth, far enough to pretend we weren't. I woke somewhere in the early hours to find that distance gone, his shoulder solid beneath my cheek, his breathing slow and even, one of his hands resting near mine, not quite touching, like it had moved toward me in sleep, and stopped itself just short of crossing a line. I didn't move. I lay there in the firelight and looked at his face, unguarded in a way I had never seen it, and felt something old and stubborn inside me begin quietly to melt. When morning came pale and still through the frosted window, he opened his eyes and found me already watching. Neither of us pretended to be embarrassed. "Storm's still going," he said softly. I looked at the snow, pressing white and endless against the glass. Then back at him. "Good," I said, and for the first time, Marcus Hale smiled at me like he'd been waiting a very long time to hear exactly that.